Well, everybody, welcome to game week. Yes, you heard that correctly. The off season is finally over. College football and high school football officially kick off this week. We, of course, are going to be doing our week 0 predictions later on throughout the week. So Friday, you guys will get those before the games on Saturday. But today, we are going to be previewing the Alabama high school football regions. We're going to talk about 1A all the way up to 7A. We're going to give our defending champion from last year. We'll talk about who can win it this year. And, of course, give our predictions for who we think is going to win in each region. But first, if you are new to the channel, you already know what to do. Leave a like, subscribe, turn that bell on as we do our best to post on this channel every single week, or every single day, excuse me. Interview week was kind of iffy last week just because I got sick a little bit. So the last couple of days I have been a little bit sick of last week. So that is why you guys did not get interviews. But regardless, we're back with videos, live videos, regardless. And I cannot wait for this football season because we got a lot we got to talk about. Later on during the week, of course, on Thursday, you'll have our predictions, our high school predictions for week number 1. And, of course, Wednesday, I'll be announcing where I will be going for the first week of the season. Thursday night and Friday night this week. So, it's a doubleheader, so stay tuned for that one. Of course, Tuesday and Wednesday, we will play our Road to Glory and Dynasty episodes. So, that's kind of the outlook for the week. It is, of course, game week for college football and high school football. I cannot wait as football season is here, ladies and gentlemen. The off season is finally over. We can all rejoice. However, hit that sub button. Leave a comment down below before we hop into, of course, today's video. And without further ado, let us go ahead and hop right into this Alabama High School Football 2025 preview. Alright, so starting us off here, AHSAA, Alabama High School Athletic Association. That is the league, I guess you would say, that all the high school teams in the state of Alabama participate in. We're going to preview the full state. So, starting off in 1A, we'll talk about it for a little bit and then, of course, give our predictions. But who is the defending champion in 1A? Well, that would be the Wadley High School football team. I don't know what their mascot is off the top of my head. They did play Maplesville, in the state championship game, but they ultimately won it last year. And I actually think that they have a really high-powered offense this year, especially for the region that they are in. If they could just score a couple of touchdowns in each game for the most part, I think that they win their region. Obviously, 1A is regions in Alabama are broken down by 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm not sure. I think they're in 1A Region 2, if I'm not mistaken. However, I think that they win actually their region, And then, of course, who could win it in 2025? Well, Maplesville has a really high-powered offense to compete with them as well. They played them in the state finals last year. Elba, I believe, has a really good defense, if you're asking me, and Lynn. And then, of course, like I said, Wadley is another team that could win it. However, my prediction for 1A region in 2025, the state champion will be Maplesville, if you are asking me. I just think that their offense is super high-powered this year. I think they have some returning starters on that offensive side, and I think that they, of course, are going to be a huge threat and the team to beat in 1A this year in Alabama. So, Maplesville is my prediction for 1A in 2025. Now, moving on to 2A. 1A and 2A are kind of the regions where I don't know much about just because they're all up in the state of Alabama. I kind of follow closely down here a little bit more. But in 2A, the defending champion, of course, being Reeltown. They won the state championship against Tuscaloosa Academy. I think Tuscaloosa Academy has a really high-powered offense this year as well. I think that Tuscaloosa Academy actually wins the state championship this year. I think that they make it back to the title game, and they do win it in 2025. So 2A, their offense, really good for that region. I think that Tuscaloosa Academy is going to be set for this year, and they will, of course, be making a run in 2A to win, of course, the state championship game. Now, moving on to 3A, this is kind of where we're getting to, of course, the teams that I know about and stuff like that. The defending champion is Mars Hill High School. If you guys don't know where that is in Upper Montgomery area of Alabama right there. They did, of course, I believe, play Selma Southside. Selma is a really good college or really good school, excuse me, in the state of Alabama when it comes to football. Houston Academy, they are also really good. They could win the region in, of course, 2025 as well. But my prediction is that Selma Southside wins their region or wins the state championship for 3A. I just think that their offense is really good. They do have some college commits on that roster. I'm not going to go over each specific one, but I do know that they have a couple of really talented commits out there. Mars Hill, their offense is really high powered as well. And I think it's going to be them and Southside and, of course, the state title game. We'll have to wait and see, of course, come December. But I think that Selma Southside is really, really good. And I think that they are going to be the number one threat in 3A this year. And I think that they are out to win the state championship game. So Selma Southside will come out on top in 3A. Now, let us go on to 4A, where the defending champions, of course, Jackson High School, the Aggies out of Jackson, Alabama, did win the state championship last year. They did have a really good run last year. They have a lot of returning production on the offensive side, especially with Xavier Crowell, the Alabama commit, and of course Landon Duckworth, the 4-star South Carolina commit, one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the country per On3 as well, and Rivals. So Jackson has a lot when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. I look at their side and I look at the defense. How's the defense going to be? I believe Jamarian Juice Gordon is still there. I think he's a North Carolina commit on Jackson as well. And I think he's going to be a key factor to that defensive side when it comes for the Aggies. I think the Aggies are going to be really solid. I plan to go to a Jackson High School football game this season. Going to depend on scheduling stuff, but I do plan to make it out to one of them to see Landon Duckworth and to showcase that talent as well. Now, who could win, of course, the 4A in 2025? Well, you got Jackson, right? The defending champions. Lots of offensive returning production with Landon Duckworth and Xavier Crowell. That backfield is going to be really good. Juice Gordon, a North Carolina commit as well, plays both sides of the ball. St. Michael's High School, they have a couple of really good South Alabama commits and some other D1 commits on their squad as well. Gunnar Rivers, of course, coming back for another year. Phillip Rivers' son, yes, if you guys don't know who that is. He is one of the top prospects in the 2027 class, so he's going to be a fun one to watch recruiting-wise, especially in the state. Gunnar Rivers, I think with Noah Moss as well, we did talk to him and Tucker Tomlinson. I think this year is going to be a really good breakout year for Tucker when it comes to getting him production on the offensive side at that wide receiver position. I think him and Brody Jones at that wide receiver position is going to be a really good 1-2 punch for them. A lot of people, we talked about this in our interview, a lot of people said that if they would have just gotten past Jackson in the semifinals, they would have, of course, gotten to the state championship. They do not think of it that way. They think of it as one game at a time. They're going to have to win every single game for the most part if they want to be a state championship team. And last year they got so close. I think this year they're out for revenge. I think that they have a really good chance to do so. Cherokee County, another high-powered offensive team in 4A. A really good offensive team, like I said, in 4A. They're going to be really fun to watch. And then Brooks High School, their defense is really solid as well. Very excited to watch them play and keep up with them in 4A as well. They're going to be one team to look for when it comes to winning it all. But my prediction for 4A, of course, I have Jackson going back-to-back in that region. I just think Landon Duckworth and Xavier Crowell, that backfield is going to be really good. They got commits all across the board. St. Michael's does too, don't get me wrong, but I just think Jackson is going to be a little bit better when it comes to that. And if it's a St. Michael Jackson state championship game, that's going to go nuts in the state of Alabama. But I do have Jackson High School winning that division there. Now, moving on to 5A, of course, the defending champion being Montgomery Catholic. Who could win it all in 2025 in 5A? Well, you got Montgomery Catholic. Their offense is insanely good. They have some D1 commits on that roster. Vigar High School, their quarterback, Sammy Dunn, committed to Army, one of the most underrated players in the state of Alabama. Moody, I think they're going to be a really fun offensive team to watch. And then Williamson, on the defensive side of the ball for Williamson, they've got some studs, right? An Auburn commit as well. Jaden Scott, I believe, out of the 2027 class is committed to, of course, the Auburn Tigers out of Williamson. They've got some dudes, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which they're going to be a fun team to watch. But my prediction when it comes to it, I think Williamson is going to win the state championship. I believe they returned their quarterback from last year. I believe he's a senior in this 2026 class. So they're going to be a team to watch in 5A. They're going to have to compete with, of course, Viger High School, though. They're going to have to compete with Montgomery Catholic and UMS Wright. UMS Wright's going to be a very underrated team in 5A as well when it comes to it, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I think Williamson gets it done, though. They have talent all across the board, and it's going to be, when it all is said and done, I believe it's going to be Williamson and Montgomery Catholic in the state championship game. However, I think Williamson actually knocks it off due to their defense. They're just saying that defense wins championships, and I think that is going to come true in this region. And I think Williamson does, of course, make it out as state champions in 2025. Now, moving on to 6A, the defending champion is Parker High School. They lost a lot of seniors last year, one being most notably, of course, Naeem Alford, the Oregon commit. Losing him on the defensive side of the ball. They lost their quarterback, I believe, last year, so they're kind of in a new offensive side, but they still have some good returning players. So when I look at their squad, I do think that they could win it all, but they're going to have to go through a gauntlet in 6A to get to that point as well. Also, Saraland, they did lose KJ Lacey. They lost Ryan Williams, obviously. So they're going to be looking for some dudes to step up for them as well. Spanish Fort, I think that they are going to be a really big threat when it comes to 6A Region 1, especially on the offensive side of the ball because of Aiden Schamberger and him returning that 2026 class that they have. And actually, I believe that 2028 class is going to step up really, really big. Spanish Fort's got some really tall and athletic dudes in that 2028 class that can step up, especially at the wide receiver position, and I think that is going to help out Aiden Schamberger a lot when it comes to taking off and running. I look at Gulf Shores. I think that they're going to be a really good threat in 6A as well. And St. Paul's. Tank Jones, the 5-star commit edge rusher, is going to be one of the key prospects for them to look out for on the defensive side of the ball. He can play literally anywhere you want to on the defensive side. That dude is an athlete at every position, but they lose some veterans on that defensive side, and they lose some veterans on that offensive side. But I think they return their quarterback for this 2026 class as well. So St. Paul's, they're going to be a key to watch here in 6A. And then you got Oxford, a high-powered offense in 6A. I think that they're going to be a fun team to follow this year. They've got some D1 commits on that roster as well. However, when it comes down to it, I think defense wins championships, and I'm going to go with St. Paul's to win the state championship. I think Parker and Oxford have great chances to win 6A this year. I think Spanish Fort's going to make a little bit of a run as well. But when it's said and done, St. Paul's, they have the talent, and I believe that this year is the year. If they were going to win it, then that would be the year. So St. Paul's will walk out as 6A champions in my prediction bracket. Now, 7A. The defending champ, Thompson High School here. Who could win it, of course, in 7A? Thompson High School, I believe they lost a lot of players last year, but they still have a really good offensive side. Central Phoenix, they played in the state championship game against Thompson High School and lost last year. But Hoover, Enterprise, Baker, and MGM, all of those teams right there have really good offenses, especially when I look at Enterprise and Mary G. Montgomery. Mary G. Montgomery is a really talented, overall, well-rounded school. And that is the reason that I have them winning in 7A this year. I think that they, out of Mobile, are going to be a fun team to watch. I think that, of course, Central Phoenix City is going to be a fun team to watch as well. However, MGM is going to, of course, take this one in 7A Region 1. So, there you have it. That is all of my predictions for, of course, the 2025 AHSAA full high school preview. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. Kicking us off with game week here with some predictions. Tomorrow we'll play our Road to Glory at Texas Tech. Wednesday, of course, we will have our Alabama High School Week 1 predictions. Thursday, we'll play our Vanderbilt Dynasty. And then, of course, Friday, we got some Week 0 predictions. College football is here, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost back this year. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn that bell on. Let me know your predictions for the state of Alabama as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.